Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. We are now in the new shop and we're getting started. First thing we're going to do is work on this Zebco 802 reel, and I've never had one of these apart before, so this will be different for me. And let's see if we can start off by removing this nut off the end, and I had a feeling that was not going to be the one. Let's jump over here and try this guy. There we go. Okay. Oh, by the way, this reel does seem to function okay. It's just sluggish. Okay, we're going to take off the handle, and I'll set that over to this side. And we've got a nut on here. It's a thin nut. And let's see if it will. Let's see. Let's see here. There we go. I think it's a 13 millimeter. And of course, my tripod would be just in the way of getting my wrench. All right. Here we go. I'll take that nut off. And now we can take the drag knob off. We'll be getting all those cleaned up here in a little bit. All right, and I have a terrible feeling I might have to put all that back to get this. Yep, let's see if I can unscrew this. And I cannot without holding on to this. Let's see. There we go. It broke free. Okay, there's the spinner. It's pretty, I mean, it's dirty, but it's got a lot of grease in it. And I think it's been fairly well lubricated over the years. Oh, well, there's a problem right there. One of the pins is snapped off on the rotor. It's still functional because we still have a pin on the other side, but I'm gonna have to go out and dig through my Zebco rotor box and see if I have another one. And even the one that is in here, half of it is broke off over here, the plastic piece that holds it. So I'll have to see if I can find one of those to get this up and running properly. All right, and let's see here. The rubber brake has come loose from the ring, so we'll have to be trying to glue that back on. And let's see if we can remove It's going to take me a while to get used to where I've put all my new tools at, folks. This is not my standard screwdriver that I use for this, but it will work. Okay, I'll take maybe we'll take that off. All right, call me aggravated, but I am. My video stopped. The reason it stopped, I use my iPhone to do my recordings with, and the reason that my camera stopped is because I got a phone call, but it won't alert you that you're getting a phone call. It just stops your call or your video, and it doesn't tell you that you're getting a call except to appear on the face, and I wasn't looking at the face when it appeared. So from that point to taking all this apart, you guys didn't get to see. So I'm going to scrub this up. What I did find is that this spool is in horrible shape. I might be able to clean it up enough to make it function again, but I don't think so. It's really corroded pretty bad. And the rotor has a broken pin. It's missing on this side altogether. And this side over here, the housing for the pin is broken. So I'm going to see if I've got another one of these. If not, I may try to epoxy this in to make sure that it can't come out. But there isn't a pin for the other side. It's missing altogether. So I'm going to see if I've got these two parts out there. I'm going to scrub everything up, and I'm going to come back and I will show you how this goes back together, although you didn't get to see how it came all apart. And that really frustrates me. We can blame Sirius XM. They keep calling me, trying to get me to subscribe, and I keep telling them, stop calling me, and they won't do it. So it's aggravating me. All right, so I will be back. Okay, I'm back, and all I'm going to do is clean this ring here real good with some acetone. Make sure to get all the grease and oil off of it so that the rubber cement will stick. I'm going to do the same thing to the rubber piece, like so. Okay. And now I'm going to take this cotton swab and pull most of the cotton off of it. And then I'm going to use that as my rubber cement swab because it's much smaller than the one that comes in the container. And all I'm going to do is run this around the inside edge. Like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the edge of the rubber. I'm going to let it dry for a few moments, and I'll stick the two together, and that should take care of that. All right, once it's had a moment to cure up, you simply put the ring back on to the rubber. Make sure that it seats all the way down in, like so. And let it cure up for a few minutes, and that brake ring is ready to be reinstalled. All right, as I told you before, this spool looks really rough. It's very corroded. It's going to have sharp edges, which would eventually cut the line. So I needed a replacement. Went out into the parts supply of things left over from my dad, and guess what? Found a brand new one ready to go. Okay, so it was loaded previously, brand new in the package with the line on it. Okay, so that one's ready to go as a replacement for that. And then there was this guy, and remember, it's got the broken pin on this side and the pin holder on this side is broken. Well, I went out there, and this one isn't brand new like the other one, but I found a good used one that is not broken. The pins are in good shape on it. And thank you to my dad for hanging on to these and not just tossing things because they were taking up space. So we're going to move on to getting this thing back together. Okay, we're going to start off by trying to get this piece back in. And I got a little bit of cleanup left to do here. I thought I had that finished. All right. There. We're cleaning up the threads on that, which will make the drag turn a lot easier with it cleaned. Okay. But right now, the grease that's on there is very tacky. And that's because it's been sprayed with WD-40. What we're going to do is we're going to add some grease so that long term, this should hold up and do a nice job for many more years to come. Okay, get some grease on the threads. And that's a little too much grease, so I'm going to take a little bit back off. Okay. Go in second. The drag adjuster has to go in first. All Matter of fact, I think maybe even the gear has to go. Okay. There we go. That's got the drag adjuster in. Yeah, I believe even the gear has to go back in first. Okay. Next to go in is going to be the gear, and we're going to oil this because it turns inside here. And it turns rapidly every time you turn the handle. The drag, on the other hand, will sit still most of the time. Once you adjust it, it's pretty much where, oh, I didn't even clean this. All right, with it clean now, we're going to go ahead, oil it, and slide it into the drag adjuster. There we go, like so. And now, let's see, this drag adjuster is not all the way in. There we go. There we go. Yeah, now everything lines up. Okay. And this is where things are going to start to be a little different, or a little more complicated. We are going to take our axle shaft. We're going to oil the axle shaft. Slide it in from the front to there. All right, sorry about that, but I was gone for a minute. And the reason being is because as I looked around my workbench, my pinion gear was missing. Couldn't find it anywhere. Took everything off of my workbench, off my work table here, took the towel off, looked everywhere, could not find it. It was nowhere to be found. I finally gave up and went to eat some lunch. And when I came back, I walked out here, and there it was laying on the floor about 10 feet away from where I was working. All right, so anyway, it was about 10 feet away laying on the floor, and how it got there, I have no idea. All right, so let's get back to assembling. And the next thing it's going to go in is going to be this gear. And I think what we're going to have to do, so I think it has to go now like this, put the gear on. And it's got a flat spot on it that's got to go into the shaft. So line the flat spot up with the axle shaft, and then you should be able to slide it down on there. And there we go. All right. Next to go on, yeah, hang on, I'm missing some items. There we go. All right, next to go on is going to be this clear glide, this washer. It goes on here, like so. Okay, slide it down. Next to go on is going to be this pointer. That pointer, see the point on it, the end of it right there? Well, that has to go into this slot right here, like so. Okay, and yeah, like that. Okay, next to go on is going to be one more of these clear glides. Goes on top of that pointer. By the way, that pointer's purpose is your anti-reverse. Okay, now is going to go this collar for the spring. It's a lower spring collar. Put the flat side over if you can't get it on, which this one went right on. Okay, next goes the spring, like so. And now we're going to sit it down because now the next to go on is going to be this piece here. And you got to get the flat turned towards the gear. And now, well, this is just going to be that kind of a day. And last but not least is going to be this E-clip. Okay. So we've got to line this up. We're going to take the E-clip and grab it with a pair of pliers. Like so. We're going to slide this down over the axle shaft and then hold it in place while we snap on the E-clip. There you go. Okay. And there's how your anti-reverse works right there. As you turn the handle, see how it comes and goes? If you go forward, it moves it out of the way. When you go back the other way, it locks it in and prevents it from reversing. Now we're ready to put this piece in. Okay, and we'll probably have to go back and realign all these holes again so that they all line up. And now some of you may be wondering, well, what is the purpose of this? What does this thing do? Okay, what happens here? Okay, this arm, if you look at it, is flat on one side and wider on the other side. See? All right, we're going to take that, we're going to slide it into that hole, and it has to go into those grooves right there. Okay, now what happens is as we adjust it, we still got a little bit more to go in. It's got to go into that hole. There we go. As we adjust the drag, what's going to happen is this is going to pull tighter and tighter, and as it pulls tighter, it rotates this shaft right here and spreads those little pieces out. Well, as it spreads those out, they're inside of the spool here, and as it spreads them out, it makes it tighter and tighter and tighter inside. Let me back that out so you can see a little better. Okay. As this rotates around, it's going to pull that tighter and tighter, and as it does, it's going to spread those out, which makes it tighter and tighter inside of here. Okay, so now let's take the tension back off of it by squeezing them back in. We're going to put a little bit of lubrication on the inside of this. It doesn't need a whole lot, so we'll wipe off any excess that we have. Okay, and then we're going to slide this new spool that we have up. This is popped back out. There we go. Line it up. Slide the brand new spool that we've acquired on like so. And as you rotate it, you should hear a click as it hits on this clicker right here. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead while we're at this point and put this E-clip back on. And somewhere here I have misplaced in all the move my favorite screwdriver, and I don't see it, but I'll come up with it here before too long. Okay, now we've got all that in, and I think I made a mistake by putting it in so quick. I think this has got to go in first. And it does. So let's pop this back out. Pull the rotor back, or spool back off. We're going to set our brake bar in. Now we can put this on. Tighten it down. Put the clip back on. Like so. All right. That brings us to this point. And I think at this point we'll go ahead and grease our main gear. And our pinion gear. Let's rotate this a little bit. Add some more grease. Now we're going to put some on the axle shaft itself, because this is going to push in and out like so. And we'll make sure it's well greased. Now we'll sit this down And what we'll do, just to hold it in place, is we'll go ahead and screw this rotor on temporarily. We're going to service it in a minute. But we'll go ahead and screw that on just enough so that it holds this pressure on this bar, if it can. Yeah, just enough to hold pressure on the bar. And I like to try to slide a screwdriver into that slot like that. And that holds the bar all the way up when I go to put this on. Okay, so we're going to set the spring in place. And then we've got this neat little cap, and the edges of the cap go up. Okay, and now we're going to take this part and slide it over the end. Let me blow this up so you can see it better. Okay, we're going to slide this over the end. Like so. And get it down to where, there we go, and it hooks in like that. Okay, and it will pinch your finger if you're not careful. Okay, that's got it locked in there. See how this comes up and it locks around the end? That keeps it from being able to go that direction and slide back off. And like I said, these little pieces are very hard to find. And I'm going to slide the screwdriver back in on the other side, and we'll do it again. Okay, put the spring in place. Put the little hat piece on. Slide it down over the bar. Hold it down like so. Bring this piece back over. Slide it on like that. Get your finger out of the way, and there you go. Now you can take that off, and there's your brake, fully functional. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of oil to our anti-reverse on-off switch over here, and to the anti-reverse pivot. And then we're going to add a little bit here where that has to go through into the body. All right, now let's go back and try to unscrew this, because we still need to service it. Now, again, this one here is in really good shape. So we're going to move it over a little bit and add just a tad of grease here and here. And then we're going to add a little bit on the front side so that when it moves, it's picking up a little bit of that grease from each direction. There we go. All right. Okay, with that bar reinstalled, let's go ahead and add a drop of oil onto each side of the bar, because the bar has to slide in and out every time you push the button. So by doing that, you're adding a little bit of lubricant and less likely to wear out the body. Okay, we're going to take and put a small bit of grease on the end over here and right here on the end of the bar, crossover bar, and slide this back into the case like so. With that done, we can go ahead, screw this cover on. I'm going to take this back off again in a few minutes, but just to get hold of the line. I just want to hold all this in place. Okay, now it's got a rubber O-ring here, and I'm not sure that our rubber O-ring was original to it, but it was there, so we're going to put it back. Okay, next goes the drag bar, or drag knob. Slide that on, and we have this nut, and it seems to be the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way it goes. Make sure you don't cross thread it. It's a thin nut. And it seems to have a desire to cross thread. Okay, now your first thought would be that you don't need to really tighten this nut down, but the nut just holds the star drag on. The star drag is adjusted by that gold wheel we saw earlier. Okay, We can turn it this way, we can turn it this way. Okay, that's all the way full drag, or I think it might be off drag. Okay, and there, we're going the opposite direction. That should be full on drag, I believe. Let's find out. Okay, now we left the line on there with an old rubber band from I don't know how long ago. Let's go ahead and take this back off a second so we can get in there to it. Yep, that's turning the handle. Hang on. There we go. Okay, now we can get in there. Let's get hold of the old rubber band. And I really would suggest replacing this line. Even though it's a brand new line, it's a brand new line from probably 30 years ago when this was a brand new part. Okay, there's the rubber band. Although that rubber band didn't fall apart like I expected it to. It actually held up pretty well for an old rubber band. Let's get hold of the line if I can. There's the line. Okay, let's see what kind of... Okay, we're at max loose drag right now. Let's tighten it down. And we're at super tight there. Okay, so that's good. All right, let's go ahead, reinstall the rotor. Okay, we're going to put the nut on the handle, hold it in place. Let's go ahead and tighten it down. Let's run the line back through the cap. That's not straight. There. All right, now we can wind the handle. There we go. Test the drag. Let's zoom out a little bit. We can wind it in. Okay. Let's tighten the drag. Tighten it some more. And some more. All right, drag's working fine. Okay, button works. All right, there you have the Zebco 802. Nice reel from the late 60s, I think it was early 70s, I think is when this reel was made. And it really is a nice little reel. Normally, I don't like spin cast reels that have a side drag, but that's because normally they're done with a drag washer set up on the crankshaft, and those just tend to not do very well. I'm not crazy about those. This one, however, I do like the star drag on it. I like the way this thing's made. This is a fine little Zebco 802, and let's see, we did not take off the anti-reverse. Let's try that. There we go. Anti-reverse removed. Put it back on. There we go. Working perfect. It's a nice reel. That line's got a bit of a memory of its own now. It's been there, been on that spool a long time. So there you have the Zebco 802. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what it is you didn't like. I also would invite you to join me over at Young Martin's Reels on Facebook. We have a discussion group going over there. If anybody's interested in coming over and joining, I'd be more than happy to approve you. Just keep it nice and pleasant over there. We don't get into battles and wars and all that kind of stuff. No arguing and stuff. You can discuss things and you can even disagree, but don't argue. Don't get ugly. It's life's too short for that. All right. And for now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels signing out.